There's something unforgettable about hearing the words, "We're having twins." But nothing prepares parents for the moment they decide to reveal not one baby's gender, but two at the same time. What begins as a joyful celebration quickly transforms into a whirlwind of expectations, pressure, sleepless nights, emotional planning, and the fear that every detail must be perfect for a once-in-a-lifetime memory. Balloons multiply, guest lists double, decorations become symbolic puzzles, and every small decision suddenly feels emotionally charged. Behind the beautiful photos and smiling faces hides a story most people never see: the exhaustion, the silent anxiety, the emotional weight of preparing for two babies while trying to hold everything together. This was not just a party. It became a moment that tested patience, love, teamwork, and the dream of building a growing family. For many parents, a gender reveal party is already an emotional milestone. But when twins are involved, every feeling becomes amplified. Double the excitement means double the planning, double the anticipation, and sometimes double the stress. In this video, we are going behind the scenes of a double gender reveal party that carried enormous expectations, emotional surprises, and unforgettable moments that changed everything for this growing family. From late-night preparations to overwhelming emotions and unexpected challenges, this story captures the reality that social media rarely shows. If you enjoy heartfelt family stories, emotional journeys, and authentic moments about parenthood, make sure to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and turn on notifications so you never miss another inspiring story about family, love, and life-changing moments. The first weeks after discovering the pregnancy felt like living inside a dream that no one wanted to wake up from. The excitement of becoming parents was already overwhelming enough, but hearing that there were twins transformed every ordinary thought into something infinitely larger. Suddenly, the future no longer seemed simple or predictable. Every conversation became about preparing for two babies, organizing two spaces, imagining two personalities, and wondering how life would completely change within a matter of months. Friends and relatives reacted with excitement, but behind the congratulations existed a quiet pressure building inside the parents' minds. They wanted everything to feel magical, meaningful, and unforgettable. The idea of creating a double gender reveal party started innocently during a late-night conversation, but quickly evolved into an emotional project that consumed their thoughts every single day. They were no longer planning just a party. They were preparing the first major memory of their children's lives together. As the weeks passed, the organization behind the event became far more complicated than either of them had expected. Every detail seemed to carry symbolic importance because there were two babies involved, and balancing the celebration equally felt emotionally significant. Decorations needed to feel connected without becoming repetitive, while themes had to create suspense without confusing guests. Hours disappeared while scrolling through ideas online, comparing color combinations, searching for meaningful concepts, and trying to create something original that represented their growing family. Financial concerns slowly entered the process as well, because doubling decorations, food, souvenirs, and planning naturally increased expenses beyond what they initially imagined. Even though they repeatedly reminded themselves that the babies would never remember the party itself, they still felt deeply determined to make the moment extraordinary. The pressure was not coming from social expectations alone. It was rooted in the emotional desire to create beauty during one of the most transformative periods of their lives. Behind every exciting social media post and carefully organized checklist existed a constant layer of anxiety that followed them everywhere. They worried about whether guests would enjoy the event, whether the surprises would work correctly, whether the decorations would arrive on time, and whether the weather would cooperate with their outdoor plans. More importantly, they worried about themselves. Fatigue had already become a daily companion during the pregnancy, and balancing emotional preparation with physical exhaustion felt increasingly difficult. Some nights ended with unfinished plans spread across the table while silent fears lingered in the room. Parenthood already felt real long before the babies arrived, because every decision carried emotional weight. There was also the challenge of protecting the surprise itself. Keeping the gender secret became unexpectedly stressful because family members constantly searched for clues in conversations, expressions, and accidental reactions. The anticipation surrounding the reveal grew larger every day, turning a simple event into something emotionally overwhelming for everyone involved. The emotional complexity deepened because the party unintentionally became tied to personal dreams and family expectations. Grandparents openly imagined having grandsons or granddaughters. Relatives shared predictions confidently, and friends treated the reveal almost like a public event filled with speculation. The parents tried to remain emotionally balanced, but they quietly carried their own hopes while also feeling guilty for having preferences at all. They reminded themselves constantly that healthy babies mattered more than anything else, yet human emotions remained impossible to fully control. Every purchased decoration suddenly felt connected to imagined futures, possible personalities, and visions of family life years ahead. The pressure intensified because everyone around them seemed emotionally invested in the outcome. Even harmless comments from loved ones sometimes created internal tension, making the couple feel responsible for delivering a magical experience that satisfied everyone's excitement. What started as celebrations slowly became intertwined with vulnerability, identity, expectation, and the uncertain emotional landscape of becoming parents to twins. As the event approached, the house transformed into a chaotic combination of celebration and exhaustion. Boxes filled with decorations crowded every room, unfinished tasks covered tables, and schedules became increasingly difficult to manage. Sleep felt shorter every night because their minds refused to stop racing with details that still needed attention. Despite the stress, there were beautiful moments hidden inside the chaos. Folding tiny decorations together suddenly made the reality of parenthood feel more tangible. Holding miniature baby items created emotional pauses that reminded them why every exhausting detail mattered so much. There was something deeply moving about preparing a celebration for two little lives that had not yet entered the world but had already changed everything. During quiet moments, the couple would stop working simply to imagine the future: birthdays, family dinners, school events, bedtime routines, and all the unpredictable experiences waiting ahead. Those brief reflections became emotional anchors that helped them continue despite the mounting pressure surrounding the party. The day before the reveal felt almost surreal because emotions had reached a level neither parent fully expected. Final preparations consumed every remaining hour while nervous energy filled the atmosphere inside their home. Small problems suddenly felt enormous because exhaustion had amplified every emotion. Deliveries arrived late, decorations required last-minute adjustments, and weather forecasts created fresh anxiety about outdoor plans. Yet beneath all the stress existed a growing realization that this moment represented far more than discovering genders. It symbolized the beginning of an entirely new chapter of life. Friends and relatives began messaging constantly, expressing excitement and curiosity, increasing anticipation even further. The couple barely had time to sit down together, but when they finally paused late that evening, silence filled the room with emotional intensity. Looking around at the decorations, unfinished balloons, and carefully arranged details, they understood how much love had been poured into creating this celebration. The party had become a reflection of hope, fear, anticipation, and the overwhelming reality of becoming parents. The morning of the event arrived with a strange combination of excitement and emotional vulnerability. Even simple tasks felt emotionally charged because they knew that by the end of the day, an important mystery surrounding their children would finally disappear forever. Guests began arriving slowly, bringing energy, predictions, laughter, and endless conversations about possibilities. Some confidently believed the twins would be two boys, while others insisted they sensed two girls. A few imagined one of each, turning the event into a giant emotional guessing game. The parents smiled constantly, but inside they carried enormous nervous tension because they alone understood how deeply meaningful this moment truly felt. Cameras captured decorations and excited reactions, but invisible emotions filled every corner of the event. Every passing minute increased anticipation until it became almost physically impossible to remain calm. Time itself seemed slower as everyone gathered together waiting for the reveal that would permanently transform imagination into reality. When the reveal finally happened, the emotional explosion felt larger than anyone expected. The carefully prepared surprise unfolded in seconds, but the emotional impact seemed to stretch endlessly through the reactions of family, friends, and especially the parents themselves. Tears appeared almost instantly, not simply because of the genders being revealed, but because months of anticipation, stress, fear, and hope suddenly collided into one unforgettable moment. The reality of having two babies became emotionally tangible in a completely different way. The couple looked at each other with expressions shaped by relief, excitement, disbelief, and overwhelming love. Around them, cheers, applause, and emotional reactions filled the atmosphere, creating a memory that would remain permanently connected to the beginning of their journey as parents of twins. For a brief moment, all the stress disappeared completely. No one cared about decorations, schedules, or small imperfections anymore. What mattered was the realization that two new lives were already deeply loved before even taking their first breaths. After the excitement settled, the emotional exhaustion finally surfaced in full force. Guests continued celebrating, taking photos, and sharing emotional reactions online, but the parents quietly experienced a different kind of moment internally. Standing together after everyone left, surrounded by partially deflated balloons and scattered decorations, they felt an overwhelming silence replacing the chaos that had dominated their lives for weeks. The reveal party was finished, but the true journey was only beginning. Looking around the room, they realized the event had taught them something important about parenthood itself. Perfection was impossible, plans would constantly change, and emotions would often feel bigger than expected. Yet love somehow continued growing through every stressful moment. The pressure they had placed on themselves slowly faded as they understood that the most meaningful memories were not created by flawless decorations or perfect organization, but by authentic emotions shared together during life-changing experiences. The party became more than an event. It became an emotional lesson about family. In the days following the celebration, videos and photographs continued circulating among family and friends, preserving the joyful reactions and unforgettable reveal itself. However, the parents privately reflected most on the hidden moments nobody else fully witnessed. They remembered the late-night worries, the emotional conversations, the silent fears about the future, and the exhausting preparation process that tested their patience and resilience. Those behind-the-scenes experiences ultimately carried just as much meaning as the reveal itself. Becoming parents of twins had already transformed them long before the babies arrived. The event showed them how quickly love could expand beyond fear and how deeply connected they had become through shared uncertainty. They also realized that expectations, while emotionally powerful, could never fully define the beauty of real life. Parenthood would continue bringing unpredictable challenges, exhausting days, and emotional moments far greater than any party. Still, the memory of preparing that celebration together would remain forever connected to the beginning of their extraordinary journey as a growing family. A double-gender reveal party may appear glamorous and exciting from the outside, but behind every decoration, smile, and emotional reaction exists a deeper story about love, fear, preparation, and transformation. Parenthood begins long before babies arrive, often through sleepless nights, overwhelming expectations, and emotional moments that quietly shape a family forever. This journey was never truly about pink or blue colors, dramatic surprises, or perfect photos. It was about two parents learning how to navigate uncertainty together while preparing their hearts for two new lives. In the end, the most unforgettable part of the celebration was not the reveal itself, but the realization that love had already grown beyond anything they once imagined possible. Sometimes the most beautiful family memories are created not through perfection, but through the emotional chaos shared along the way.